if that is not about enough to get your attention. Welcome back to Indian Trace. I appreciate it. What I mean is, if you're interested in artifacts, specifically ancient North American Indian projectile points, then, at least for me, arrangements and appreciations get my attention. What we're going to look at here, and thank you so much for the comments. I appreciate it. It was just great. Yesterday we did Notchville. Today, what you're looking at are my top points from the Archaic. And many of you who've tuned in here have heard that name when I found certain points on certain sites. Some of these have been filmed, some have not. But I want to give you a unique look at these points that are all off one spot. And they're my top points from one spot. I've found a lot more, like I've mentioned. But after the comments, which were particular and unique to Notchville, it's a good idea just to check out points from one particular site. And I have about maybe 3, 4, 5 in mind that I just want to be able to show off and show an arrangement digitally. A little different than a frame, a little different than going to a show about the same thing, an artifact show. And so let's do this. The Archaic has earned a place as really special to me. And as a matter of fact, let me show this. This is the very first point. I think it's a Rowan that I found at the Archaic. If I can hold this still enough. Closer you get, the stiller you have to hold it. But that's not enough. And even then, I couldn't be sure, and I didn't know how to tell whether or not a site was really a site. First point, worth the time. And I was happy as can be about that at 3 inches. My goodness. Let's go around the circle here like we did yesterday. Now, as you can see down at the bottom here, the Archaic puts out some great Guilfords and in many other varieties of points. I'm going to go right around the outside to the inside again. And just let the points speak for themselves. What I like is to see the ancient artifacts, stone tools, these projectile points from the same exact locale. I've never really put them together from the same site, but I can go through my collection and say, I know where this is from, I know where this is from, and grab the ones that are from the Archaic. Nice Guilford straight base right there. And I will give this little bit of advice if somebody's looking to categorize or be able to chart their points. Check out the different layers on Google Earth, as well as backing them up and saving those digital files for yourself. I'm just going to skip around from the outside and show you some of these great stuff, because there's a lot of tools. I have charted all of these finds. I know exactly the areas that they came from, and if somebody were to see this video or whatever and then say the Archaic, and they're in my family, they have a way to know in the future, once these go into somebody else's trust, where they came from and how I feel about the area. I guess it's as simple as that. Just work hard to see if you can document your stuff the best you can. Now let's go around this Little Morrow Mountain piece in particular. You're looking at rhyolite from eastern North Carolina. If you happen to pass by and you haven't been to Indian Trace, look at this piece of banded rhyolite. The Archaic has been, as you can see, a fantastic place. Look at this. Going around to these to collect some artifacts from. Some of these have been highlighted and seen for different reasons. Extreme tips, serrations. Great stone and materials they use here in eastern North Carolina. And look at this point. Incredibly smoker. Found that early on at the Archaic. And of course, I love the stuff I found at the I find at the Archaic, and that's what keeps you coming back. Find other stuff. It's just faithful. It's not always ready. It might be a little bit of slower site. They don't work it as often, but I know it's there. Once you know what's there, you can give your level best to getting back out there and working the site. Nice piece right there in rhyolite. This right here I found earlier is one of my very favorite pieces. It's been seen before, but it's funny because it's actually ground off the base here to bevel it. Just an incredible piece. Now, of course, I know these two right here, they were found, within a stone's toss of each other. The Archaic is not that huge, not some huge land area. It's very small, relatively. What I mean is it's probably about 150 yards by 200 yards. And that's not huge. It's not a huge area. Couple Morrow Mountains. Good stuff. Anyway, so getting around, just for the beauty of the stone and the pieces together from one spot, to give you a really good look at these as best I can. I'm not trying to hurry too much, but a good sampling of one site's materials, the people from this site. Now, of course, we're looking at probably multiplied ages that have been mixed up, separated by hundreds, and in some cases thousands of years for these pieces right here alone. There are strong Archaic artifacts here, as we can see, but we have some early pieces, credibly, in terms of these Guilfords being real early Archaic, and then moving up into woodland with some of the pieces, just a few. Look at this, an early Guilford I found there. Just an incredible piece. It's relieved right off the back here for hafting. Fantastic. And now you can see how faithful the Archaic alone, when I say, I'm at the Archaic or I found a piece of the Archaic, you can know, you can remember. Well, Indian Trace definitely has let us see what the Archaic puts out, especially like this. It helps me document. Now that's long. That is all of a little more than 4 inches. That's an incredible Guilford. That was found fairly recently. But for me, it helps me get stirred up. I went out today. It's sort of a pause season where the farmers and the combines and the weed treatments are all getting out there and they're getting ready to cultivate. So I like to do something to pass the time a little bit, and I figured I would put up individual sites. And that right there, that's a great look at Indian Trace, and especially the stuff that comes off the site that I have called the Archaic. I wish everybody the best in the spring here as it comes along, and I'll finish off with this one piece that I haven't got close up to, which is this piece, this notch piece of quartz. They do a fantastic job. I think that's a good look of it. Sort of a museum tour, right? All in all, thank you. Appreciate you tuning in to Indian Trace, and I guess I just simply hope you find out there when the spring comes and you have opportunities to save some of this stuff. We go out there to seek and to save. It's well worthwhile. Thanks for tuning in to Indian Trace.